Good evening and welcome to the London Football Show Live Capital One Cup final special. With two of our very own London teams competing in this year's final, we thought we'd spend the next hour discussing the final. And joining me, as always, is Mr. Kenny Ken to give his views and opinions on the game this Sunday. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
Thank you. It's a very special programme. I'm looking forward to it. Apparently, two of the best teams in London at the moment. Although, as an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't agree on that.
Joining us this week as well, we've got a special guest today. It's Chelsea supporter and season ticket holder Charlie. So welcome to the show, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, been looking forward to coming on. Yeah,
and looking forward to the game on Sunday.
Yeah, really
got
excited.
A lot to discuss. So over the next hour, we're going to be joined by some special guests on the phone as well. And don't forget, if you want to get involved, you can send us a tweet by sending it to @LFS_live. So we're going to start off. I think we're going to get Chris Perry, former Tottenham player, on the phone quite shortly. But what we'll do is we'll start off by talking about how both teams got to the final. So we'll start with Chelsea. Their third round game, West Brom, comfortable. Yeah,
it's pretty routine wins up until until we hit the later stages of the competition. You know, we win over West Brom, Shrewsbury, Derby. You know, they're lower league opposition, of course, but they were away games, so you don't.
But you look at the scores there, not comfortable, not going through comfortably.
No, we've conceded in a lot of those games as well. Shrewsbury, for example, was 2-1. We conceded the goal there, conceded the goal against Derby, but we conceded away at Liverpool as well. But finally got that.
For Kenny, Chelsea, they've made it to the final, but it's not been comfortable.
Well, you'd say it's not comfortable. I watched the Derby game and I thought, in terms of that, Chelsea always had a second gear. Yes, there were times when they went up 2-0 and Derby gets a goal back, and then in the last minute they kind of take the game away from Derby. But I think when I look at the Derby game, I think that's the introduction of Kurt Zouma. That's when I thought, he could actually be a fixture in his side, because obviously, in terms of pace, I think that's where that could be very important during this game. And then you've got obviously the Liverpool game, which is a fantastic game. The game in the second leg at Stamford Bridge was what cup football's about. We talked about it 3 weeks ago, but what a game of football. It had everything, I mean everything. Great defending, good attacking, last minute, extra time goal, and obviously we had Diego Costa's criminal offences.
Diego Costa crimes, as Mourinho pointed out the other day.
Oh, yes, he did. He went in a bit of a rant, Jose.
Yeah, he did. He definitely got his piece in, yeah. But yeah, like you said, it was a proper cup game. I went to both legs, but they had that sort of tense atmosphere you expect from a cup game. It was really good as a fan.
And is it fair to say that Chelsea were a bit lucky to get through to the final? When you look at how the first leg played out, Chelsea were lucky to come away with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, we didn't. We were definitely not our best that first game. I went up there and Liverpool really tested us. But I think over the 2 legs, I think we deserve to go through.
And then, but obviously in the return leg, as you said earlier, Diego Costa's crimes, he perhaps shouldn't have even been on the field of play.
Yeah, that is a topic for interesting debate. I mean, as Mourinho pointed out, did he stamp? Did he not stamp? I mean, was he looking? Stamped. But was he even looking at the leg?
Well, the thing about it is that one of the things I mentioned as well, because I actually defended Costa, was provocation. It was a massive game, and Skirtle's like a woodpecker. Like I said, he'll provoke, he'll feign injury.
They really don't like each other as well. They've got previous Costa and Skirtle,
and that's one of the things that came out in that game. Yeah. It was like series of battles. I think there was quite a few individual battles during that game.
Yes, there was.
I think that's where viewers, obviously neutrals like myself and Yusuf, we kind of loved that. That's why we loved the game so much.
Yeah, I had a lot of my friends who aren't Chelsea fans say it was an enjoyable game to watch. I mean, it wasn't enjoyable for me at points because,
it must be stressful for you.
It was very stressful, yeah. but I'm happy we got through. And it was, looking back, it was a proper cup game.
Definitely. And obviously we hope that, the finals like that as well, something we can talk about.
Definitely. And then, well, what we're going to do is we're going to cut to Chris Perry now. I think we've got him on the phone. So welcome to the show, Chris. Are you there? He's not responding. He's not there.
Oh, yeah,
Are you there, Chris?
We've got
Hello, Chris, mate.
Hello. How are you? You all right?
Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show. Is he still there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for joining us, Chris. So obviously, as a former Tottenham player yourself, you played in the 2002 League Cup final against Blackburn. Now, what is it like to play in a game like that for a club like Tottenham?
It's fantastic. Obviously, to reach a major final is the aim of every player in their career, really. But I mean, the disappointing thing for me was that we didn't actually win it. We ended up losing to Blackburn on the day. But we had a decent result against Chelsea in the semi-final, which I think was one of the high points of my career.
Yeah, because I was going to get to that, Chris, because I mean, it was like you won 6-3 in aggregate, because, you know, it was one of those times where Chelsea, you hadn't beaten Chelsea for about, was it 16 years?
I think it was a long time.
It was a long time, about 16 years.
Like 1990 or something.
Yeah, 1990.
Yeah,
but you lost, I remember the first leg, they beat you 2-1, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So we were 2-1 down from the first leg, and then I think everyone expected us to lose again.
Well, I did anyway.
At White Hart Lane. Yeah, I'm sure you did. But it was just one of those days that Tottenham have for over the years. You know, they've always had the players that produce a really, really good performance every now and again. And it was one of those days where it all clicked, and we completely played Chelsea off the park that night and won 5-1. I mean, it was very similar in many ways to the game earlier on this season when Spurs won 5-3, you know, where everything seemed to click for Spurs on the day, and they have got that in their system sometimes.
Yeah, because I kind of remember the game, you know, I remember Sherwood's rocket, remember that, you know, rocket, like I think it was like a free kick routine when he hits it in the top corner.
Actually, I don't remember any of the goals. Maybe being a defender, I was just more concerned about trying to keep them out. I remember the goal we let in, and then obviously everything else was a bit of a blur until the celebrations after, and I remember them.
You remember definitely.
Now, Chris, obviously Chelsea have a far superior record over Spurs when we look at the league history between them. But
Absolutely.
when it comes to cups and cups finals, especially, Spurs have a far superior record. Do you think that's going to have a bearing on the game this Sunday?
I think it may have a slight bearing. I don't think. I mean, it's ancient history, really. I mean, 2008, obviously, Spurs beat Chelsea in the Carling Cup final, and then obviously the 5-1. I think so. Spurs have won the last two Carling Cup final meetings, but I don't think that has any bearing. None of the players are the same. None of the backroom staff are the same. It's completely changed since then. So I mean, it's going to be a case of what sort of form the two teams are in at the moment. I mean, and Chelsea and Tottenham both come into this game in good form and with different reasons for believing they're going to win the game.
Yeah, because I was just looking at Spurs' side, because obviously, like, I'm an Arsenal fan. I watched the North London derby, and one of the things I've noticed about your side against Pochettino is that you seem a lot fitter. Because like in terms of like the last-minute goals, it's Swansea, Hull, Villa. It's one of those things where Spurs tend to keep on going, because in the previous Spurs sides, when teams tend to go in front of them, especially away from home, it was like kind of a done deal. And I'm just looking at this final in terms of how Spurs are going to sort of shape up. I mean, sort of the pundit in me seems to think that it will suit Spurs if it went to extra time.
Look, I fancy it to go to extra time, to be honest. I think it'll be a really tight affair during the 90 minutes. Maybe finish 1-1, and I think it will go to extra time. I think, obviously, Spurs playing in the Europa League tonight won't be an advantage to them, certainly on the physical side of things. But I mean, Pochettino brought in a regime when he came into the club of double sessions and really hard fitness sessions and pushing the players very hard during pre-season and early on in the season. And I think they are seeing the benefits now, and the number of games they've won in the last 15 minutes, and even going back to the game last Sunday against West Ham where they're 2-0 down with 15 minutes to go, but they managed to come back and get a result. That wouldn't have happened in the past. Those Spurs sides would have just faded away and lost those games, and they're coming back to win games and draw games now that maybe they wouldn't have in the past.
Hi, Chris. It's Charlie here. I'm a Chelsea fan. And
Hi, Charlie.
Obviously, Harry Kane is in immense form at the moment, but I was wondering if there's any Spurs players that I should be worried about that have impressed you.
I think Christian Eriksen's been excellent this season. Hasn't really gone under the radar as such, but one who's not being talked about as much at the moment. Was left out of the side against West Ham, came on and they did get back to 2-2. He has played tonight, which is interesting. I might have rested him tonight. he's one they certainly need to watch. Certainly, if there's any free kicks or set pieces in and around the box, his delivery's been special, and he scored a couple of superb free kicks. One in the semi-final in this competition, actually, against Sheffield United. And I think the two young midfielders, Bentaleb and Mason, have got immense energy levels and get about the pitch. And certainly Ryan Mason has had a few shots recently in the games recently where he's hit the target and made keepers make a save. And he may be able to pull out a fantastic goal on Cup Final day.
Yeah, because I was just talking about... sorry, do you want to...
No, go ahead.
I was just talking about one question. So I'm talking about, you're obviously going to get your predictions as usual, but one of the areas that, like key areas, seems to be like the midfield, because, you touched on Ryan Mason in terms of the hub of the midfield. And I'm looking at the midfield for Spurs. I'm looking at, Ryan Mason and Bentaleb. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of work, going to get their work cut, because obviously you've got Costa, Fabregas, Hazard. I think in terms of, that sort of battle, do you think that's where the game will be decided?
I do, absolutely. Whoever controls the midfield will certainly have the upper hand in the game. I think Matic being out for Chelsea is a huge miss for them. I think Chelsea have lost 2 of the 5 games that he's missed this season, but they look a different side when he's not alongside Fabregas. Fabregas looks a different player when he's playing next to Matic. And I've got question marks over Chelsea at the moment. They don't seem to be playing with the same flair or vigour that they were earlier on in the season. Fabregas looks as though he's still perhaps carrying a little bit of an injury, doesn't look 100% fit. Obviously, Matic being out, who's going to play alongside him? Mikel's been pretty average this season. I think Ramirez, I would probably go with, but again, he's a bit more attacking-minded than maybe Mourinho might want in there. So I think there's question marks over Chelsea as well. At centre-back, I think Chelsea have got a problem as to who to pick. Do you pick Zuma? Do you pick Cahill? For me, Chelsea's best centre-back pairing is probably Ivanovic and Terry, but they never seem to play that.
Well, it's just definitely, because, obviously, like, the thing with Chelsea is that they've got their best centre-half is their best right-back. And their best, the right-back is their left-back, Azpilicueta.
Yeah, that's what amazes me, because I think, they're struggling at the moment. Cahill's struggling for a little bit of form. Zuma is young and a little bit impetuous at times, but looks as though he will be a good player, but it's a big game for him to come into. And I wonder whether they just don't play Ivanovic centre-back, move Azpilicueta to right-back, and they've got Felipe Luis, who played in the Champions League final, Brazilian left-back, and go and play in the position that he's supposed to play, And I think maybe it might be a ready-made solution for them.
Yeah, because obviously, like I said, one of the players we haven't mentioned is Hazard. Obviously, you're representing Tottenham. Obviously, Chelsea got Hazard, but one of the things that I was talking to the panel before is like there's a forgotten player for Tottenham. I still think that Emmanuel Adebayor might feature in this final. What do you think about that?
I think he might feature, but he'll only be from the bench. I think he's fallen out of favour at Spurs, and his performances this season have been bang average, to be honest. He's one of those players, though, that is a big game player, and you could see him maybe coming on and being in the shot window a little bit, perhaps, that he might turn it on. And if it does go to extra time, he's the sort of player that could come on and produce a little bit of magic that might change the game. But, you mentioned Eden Hazard. For me, he's the one player on the pitch who is going to be a threat for 90 minutes. He's been superb all season for Chelsea. He's their go-to guy. Fabregas was at the start of the season, but has dropped off a bit. But Hazard's standards have been set throughout the season. He's kept them so high. He is the man. If Spurs can keep Hazard quiet, then they have every chance of winning the game.
And finally, Chris, can we just get a prediction from you? How do you see the game ending?
Yeah, I see the game being a 1-1 draw after 90 minutes and Spurs nicking it 2-1 in extra time. Very similar to 2008.
Brilliant. All right, excellent. Thanks very much for joining us today, Chris. Thanks a lot.
No, pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Excellent. So join us after this break where we'll continue with our preview of this Sunday's final.